Welcome to Liberia, a beautiful country located on the west coast of Africa with a population of around 4.5 million people. The name Liberia means land of the free. 173 years ago, American philanthropists and the American Colonization Society supported the voyage of freed slaves to Liberia to start a new life of freedom. Monrovia, the capital of Liberia, was named after U.S. President James Monroe, who was one of the sponsors in the colonization of Liberia. The settlers brought their Western world practices and traditions with them, colonizing the country to look and feel similar to the U.S. in structure and tradition. An example of this is Liberia's flag, which is almost identical to the U.S. flag. Its one star is referred to as Lone Star, representing Liberia as the first republic of the continent of Africa.
We turn now to a remarkable but often overlooked chapter of U.S. history, one that connects the United States to the West African nation of Liberia, founded more than 2 centuries ago by freed African Americans. ABC's Inez de Lucatera takes us on a journey through history to see how their legacy and their search for freedom continues to shape a country known as the Land of Liberty.
You'd be forgiven for thinking this is somewhere in America. From the street signs to the yellow school buses and monuments like this Masonic temple, even a flag that looks very familiar. But we're a long way from the U.S. This is Liberia, a small nation on the western coast of Africa, and its story is intrinsically tied to America's. It's a little-known chapter in U.S. history. In the 1800s, a group of white Americans created what was known as the American Colonization Society. Its aim was to repatriate formerly enslaved Americans to Africa, even though many had been in the U.S. for generations. Liberian historian Dr. C. Patrick Burrows.
They aimed to form a colony in Africa and to have free blacks who chose to leave and go to Liberia. They were joined by people who were politicians and who thought that the repatriation of blacks to Africa was important to preserve stability in the U.S. That as long as free blacks were here, they would influence those who were enslaved, and those who were enslaved might rebel.
The ACS set about buying land in Africa and chose to call it Liberia. In other words, the land of the free. Its capital, Monrovia, was named after U.S. President James Monroe. Among those who would make the journey was William D. Coleman, a young boy who'd grown up on the Wardlaw plantation in Fayette County, Kentucky. James Wardlaw's will shows that upon his death, he wanted all enslaved people on his plantation to be liberated on the condition they emigrate to Liberia. Wardlaw adding, "But such of my slaves as decline going to Liberia shall be sold as slaves." Dr. Burrows says records show that in 1853, William, his mother Ellen, and an uncle boarded a ship in Baltimore and set sail for Liberia.
Life was rough because you're coming into a place that's new, certainly not as rough as it would have been on a plantation, and now you're working for yourself.
Eventually, the Colemans landed here in what was dubbed Kentucky in Africa, where relics of the past still stand to this day, and where we met up with some of Coleman's direct descendants.
From the time they came in, they started patterning things after the United States. The flag, the everything.
It's estimated about 15,000 freed black Americans resettled in Liberia. They set about building a country based on what they knew, overcoming some challenges from the local population. In the Liberian jungle, one can still find buildings that look almost identical to those in the American South.
These are the buildings that people who came from the U.S. had built. The structures on, say, Jefferson's plantation or Madison's plantation were not built by Jefferson himself. He might have designed them, but the actual enslaved people were the ones who built them. So they had those skills.
At this Baptist church in 1847, Liberians even signed their own Declaration of Independence.
It was a land of freedom, and it still is, regardless of what the issues are. Liberia is still a land of freedom. Anyone can come and settle in Liberia, true land of liberty.
The Civil War raged for 14 years between 1989 and 2003, deeply affecting Liberia's economy, leaving the country ravaged and destitute. The Doe family home had been destroyed during the Liberian Civil War, but the foundation's new elementary school, the ATDOE Academy, transformed the property from dirt to a place of hope for the Grand Bassa County community. Despite daunting economic and educational delivery challenges, in 2010, the ATDOE Memorial Foundation was founded with a Christian-inspired mission to empower today's generation for a better tomorrow. The foundation was established with an understanding that education is the key to hope and future success, and in recognition that Liberia is filled with future leaders who just need access to opportunity to quality education. But we didn't stop there. To advance our goal of also helping women in the community, in 2015 we launched our first Women's Empowerment Program with a workshop to teach women how to build their self-confidence and become entrepreneurs. We awarded 10 women a $100 interest-free loan to start their small business. The beginning of this Women's Empowerment Initiative was the 5th major milestone marking the progress of ATDOE Memorial Foundation. We reached a 6th set of milestones for the foundation in 2016. With the help of corporate partners and various donors, the foundation launched its first empowerment training initiative in Liberia with a program that provided 6 months free sewing training to women in the community. Since then, over 100 women have graduated from the training program, and the graduates have produced over 1,000 sets of uniforms for students. They also sew beautiful African fashions, which are sold on the ATDOE Foundation website to raise money for the school. Many of the sewing class graduates also made and sold masks to earn an income during the pandemic. That year, we also launched our basic healthcare services programs. Coordinating with local nurses and doctors in Liberia, the foundation achieved another milestone by conducting the first community health fair to deliver basic medications and health checkups to residents of the community who do not have access to medical care. That year, we also launched a computer lab for girls at the elementary school, providing many of them access to technology for the very first time. And we started a hygiene education program for students and distributed toothpaste and toothbrushes to children, many who were receiving those essential supplies for the very first time. We also made our first mission trip to Liberia in 2017, which provided an opportunity for the foundation to serve the students and deliver goods to the academy. The students were excited and grateful as they welcomed the visitors from the United States. They proudly displayed their schoolwork, sang, danced, and recited Bible verses in unison to show off their talents.